It's another Raw video from your favorite YouTube scout, Draftrawthentic. Yes, I'm finally here making another video. Like I said, it's a Raw one, so there will be no edits. Anyway, if you're watching this video, I've already done the 4th round and the 5th round notable / interesting players from those rounds for the 2018 NFL Draft. Now, in this vid, I would actually be combining both the 6th and 7th rounds. And just to put a little disclaimer out there, if you comment on this video, I did not miss any 6th or 7th round picks that, you may have thought that was really good and will be a steal. These players are just my opinion on who I think will be pretty good players in this draft. Or, I guess you can say, pretty good steals in this draft. So, without further ado, let's just get into it. With the 176th pick, the Los Angeles Rams selected John Kelly. Now, Todd Gurley, yes, they have Todd Gurley. But with John Kelly, you won't miss a beat if Todd Gurley has to sit out because he's a little bit tired. Or if, God forbid, he gets hurt or something, something happens with him, he gets hurt. Whether it's a season ending or a game type of injury or, whatever it is. You won't miss a beat with John Kelly. To me, he's probably, I want to say he's still at the 6th round, but there's another player that got drafted in the 6th round that I think may be a bigger steal than him. But I can say this is definitely one of the best running backs in this draft class. So, with the 177th pick, the Houston Texans select Duke Ejiofor. The only reason I actually wrote his name down was because he was a guy that technically should have went higher. And being drafted in the 6th round is kind of crazy. So it was like, whoa, 6th round. Like, what in the world is going on? But it wasn't because I actually liked him as much. I think that he's a solid pass rusher. I just don't think he's a game-changing pass rusher or all-world pass rusher. And he has some stuff that he definitely needs to work on that I've mentioned in my top defensive ends video for the 2018 NFL Draft. I also mentioned his name in the Houston Texans video, obviously going over their draft, and I talked about, this certain thing that he needs to work on that he got to get better at, or he's going to fail in the NFL. So we'll see what happens with him. Now, with the 179th pick, the New York Jets selected Perry Nickerson. Now, Perry Nickerson is a player that from Tulane, I believe, right? Yeah, from Tulane, one of the fastest players in this draft. Very, very quick feet, good hips, small, but, he kind of reminds me of Baltimore Ravens cornerback Tavon Young. And if you know who Tavon Young is, then you know that he was one of the better young corners in the draft the year before, in the 2016. He got hurt in 2017, so, his name didn't get put out there as it probably would have been, but he's one of those guys that plays with a lot of tenaciousness, plays with a lot of energy, and really, really goes forward. And I think that you get that from Perry Nickerson. And it just reminds me of a guy. He's a definite player that, the New York Jets could put in the slot, and they're going to get some pretty good play out of him. Better than what they got from a player like a Buster Screen. So it is what it is. Anyway, with the 190th pick, now this is the guy that I think is probably going to be the biggest steal of the 6th round, and that is Deshawn Elliott. And I'm not saying this because he got picked by the Baltimore Ravens, who was my favorite team. I'm saying this actually because this is a guy that I thought should have been drafted in the 2nd round. And the simple fact he got drafted in the 6th. Now, I don't like putting labels and grades on players, but he definitely should have went higher than the 6th round. And I think I do know why he actually did go in the 6th, but I feel as though he's the type of dude that his depth still to me is way better than that 6th round draft pick that he got, put in with. So honestly, I feel as though he's a future starting safety in this league, and he's definitely a future playmaker. So with the next pick, the 197th pick in the draft, the Washington Redskins selected Dion Hamilton. Now, I think they have an affinity for these Alabama players, these front seven Alabama players. I don't know what's going on with them. They really love them, but I can definitely say this. They got a really good player in Hamilton. And when it comes to Hamilton, it's kind of funny because I believe before he got hurt, they said that he was the best linebacker on the team and not Rashaan Evans. So when it comes to Dion Hamilton, I'm just saying the Redskins may have gotten a steal with that guy as well. So just putting it out there. With the 207th pick, the Green Bay Packers selected Equanimeous St. Brown. The Packers have been known to know how to pick receivers in the draft. And Equanimeous St. Brown is a guy I thought would have went in the second, and surprised he didn't even go in the third, and he dropped all the way down to the 6th round. I can say this about him. I understand why he actually went in the 6th round as well, but I can sit here and say that he has the chance to being a number 1 receiver in this league, and I'm not playing. I'm dead serious when I say that. At worst, definitely number 2. At worst, he probably become nothing. But, his ceiling is probably an upper echelon number 2, which would then still make him a number 1 receiver in this draft class. And I can actually do those type of what I think about how you would rate certain players in the NFL, like what makes a number 1 receiver or corner or whatever. And I can get into that, but I won't. But when it comes to Equanimeous St. Brown, definitely a good pick and definitely a steal for the Green Bay Packers. Then with the 210th pick, the New England Patriots selected Braxton Berrios. Now, Braxton Berrios is the type of player that literally reminds you of the Danny Amendola, Wes Welker type of guy. And I said this before he even got drafted by New England. So them picking him is just like they're doing what they usually do. And he actually reminded me a little bit of Brandon Cooks, which was kind of crazy. I think, he's kind of a gadget player in a way that you can use him as a gadget player, but I think that he's a little bit more than that. And as receiver, he was a guy that definitely took over for the Florida team when Antonio Callaway couldn't play for them. You know what I mean? So they got a really good player with him, and they got a guy that they can put in the slot easily, and he's going to be able to make those type of plays. With the 218th pick, the Minnesota Vikings selected Ada Runda, and actually, I'm going to scratch that name out. This is a situation I said in my last video where I wrote down a name, and it was an accident. When I say it was an accident writing down the name, watching so many prospects, I thought he was a different prospect than what he was, so he's an okay, I would just say this, he definitely is an okay pass rusher. He has a lot of things to work on, but he's an okay guy. And if he does become a guy for Minnesota, then that I said his name. I just put it out there. He is a solid player. And now we're going into the 7th round. Now in the 7th round, I only got 4 players that I can mention. One is Dallas Bo Scarborough. I think that Bo was a guy I thought was I would say this, before the season happened, I thought going into the draft he would be picked a lot higher. Now that he's been picked, he's one of those guys where I don't know where he fits in Dallas. They have Ezekiel Elliott, and then they have Rod Smith, and I believe their backup running back is Alfred Morris. So it's kind of like, where does Bo fit? Can he play fullback? Are they willing to let Rod Smith go? Like, where does Bo fit? I believe that they just kind of got him just for, one, they're probably definitely not going to keep Alfred Morris for long. But 2, you have a guy in Scarborough that, he's definitely a backup running back that you can just put out there. Kind of reminds you just a little bit of a DeMarco Murray. But it is what it is with him. I just think that is a very, very solid pick for the Dallas Cowboys. Then with the 240th pick, San Francisco selected probably the steal of the 7th round, and that is Richie James, wide receiver of Mid-Tennessee State. This past year, he got hurt, so he didn't get to finish the season. I think he only played 4 or 5 games. But the season before and the season before that, 100 catches each year. So it shows the talent that he has there, and I think that is a huge pick for the San Fran, and it's definitely going to be a pretty good steal for them in the 7th round. Now, Washington Redskins, with the 241st pick, they selected Greg Stroman, cornerback from Virginia Tech. I like Stroman a lot because he's a do-your-job corner. And what I mean when I say do-your-job corner is that he does his job. Whether it's man coverage or zone coverage or press coverage, he knows how to do it all. And he's not like great at any of that. And he doesn't have like these amazing ball skills, but he's a really good, solid cornerback that you could really, learn to like. And then with the 249th pick, this is the last 7th round pick that I think that is interesting, that I think is going to make a difference. Not say make a huge difference in the NFL, but it's going to be a player in the NFL, and that is Cincinnati. They chose quarterback Logan Woodside from Toledo. The reason why I like Logan Woodside is because I just like his arm. That arm is just, it's amazing the way the ball comes out of his hand. It's a pretty strong arm. He played in a game versus Miami, and he was just slinging it. And even though a lot of those passes weren't completed per se, and not per se, but it was just the way the ball was flowing out of his hands. It was the way that, I don't know how to explain it. You know what I mean? Like, if he had better receivers, he would have completed a lot more passes. I'll just say that. If he had better receivers out there. And it kind of sounds like a Josh Allen type situation, but that's basically what it kind of is. This is where, Josh Allen, if we're really looking at the perspective where he should have been picked. Because Logan Woodside is not the 6'5", 230, 240-pound quarterback, he's not going to get the hype and everything that Josh Allen got. But I think Logan Woodside gives you everything that Josh Allen gives you, but you're getting better, I guess you could say, value out of it, that you're not wasting a top pick on a player like him. So, anyway, if you like this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more of my videos, this is the last one that I'll be doing for this subject. Please subscribe so you can see more and what more content I put out. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit sick, I have a cold. If you didn't like what I had to say, or you think that I missed a player within the 6th and 7th round that you think is going to be a steal, please comment so we can debate about it. We can talk about it. Please share this video so other people can comment. They can see this video, they can debate, and we can make this huge draft community that I know that I would like and you would like definitely. Once again, this is Draft Raw Authentic. I thank you for watching. Goodbye.